Couldn't just sit and wait for someone else to decide what came next. She walked outside, but didn't go far, just leaned against the side of the building, phone in hand. After a minute, Bambi joined her. "You all right?" Bambi asked, her voice softer than usual. Karlie shrugged. "I don't know. I thought telling her would make me feel better. But it don't." Bambi nodded slowly. "Sometimes the truth don't feel good, even when it's the right thing." Karlie let out a dry laugh. "Maybe." The two of them stood there in silence, watching as the last few crew members packed up gear and equipment. Production was officially shut down for the night. There wouldn't be any more filming today. Not after that. Meanwhile, social media was heating up. Even without full details, fans had picked up on the energy shift. A few behind-the-scenes clips had leaked, nothing showing Rasheeda's face directly, but enough for people to know something serious had gone down. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag LHHATL and hashtag pray4. RASHEEDA both popped up within hours. One blogger posted a cryptic story saying, "Karlie just flipped the whole season upside down. Y'all ain't ready." That same night, Kirk posted an Instagram story. It wasn't a video or a photo, just a black screen with a single line of text. "Sometimes silence is necessary." Fans flooded the post with comments asking what he meant, demanding answers. Some begged him to make a statement. Others dragged him mercilessly, calling him out for years of alleged lies finally catching up. But Kirk didn't reply, and neither did Rasha as the hours stretched into late night. Spice and Rasheeda ended up back at Spice's place. No cameras, no crew, just two friends sitting in the living room, quiet music playing low in the background. "You want to talk about it?" Spice asked gently as she handed Rasheeda a glass of water. RASHEED shook her head. "Not yet." She sat there for a long time, folder still in her lap like she couldn't let it go. Finally, she spoke. "You know what's crazy?" Rasheeda said, voice low. "This ain't even about the cheating no more. It's about the lies. All these years, thinking I knew what was real." Spice didn't interrupt. She just let her talk. "It's like, how many times did I defend him?" Rasheeda continued, her voice cracking slightly. "How many times did I tell people it was different? Behind closed doors?" Spice leaned forward, her tone firm but kind. "You ain't gotta blame yourself for trusting somebody you love." Rasheeda let out a hollow laugh. "Feels stupid now." Outside, the city lights glowed, but inside, everything felt dimmer, quieter, back. At production headquarters, the team was already holding emergency meetings. They had footage to review, episodes to edit, and a cast to manage, all while making sure things didn't spiral out of control. One producer spoke up in the middle of the meeting. "This ain't just another fight we can edit down. This is bigger. This is personal." The rest of the team nodded in agreement. By the next morning, things had escalated even further. One of Kirk's old business partners leaked a statement anonymously to a gossip site. The post claimed Kirk had been running games for years, using fake business trips as cover. Again, no concrete proof. Just whispers. But at this point, whispers were enough. Fans believed what they wanted to believe, and right now, most of them believed Karlie. As the morning sun rose over Atlanta, Rasheeda finally made a decision. She called production herself. "I'm ready to talk," she said simply. They scheduled a confessional shoot immediately. Private, no cast members. Just Rasheeda, a producer, and a single camera. When she arrived, there was no glam team, no entourage. It's just her, dressed in simple jeans and a plain shirt. No makeup except for a little gloss. She sat down quietly, took a deep breath, and looked into the camera. "I don't know what y'all want me to say," she began, "because right now, I'm still figuring it out myself." She didn't cry. On camera, didn't raise her voice. She just spoke in that same quiet, steady tone. It's one thing when strangers got stuff to say about your life, but when it's people close to you, people you trusted, that hit different. Her voice cracked just slightly. I ain't perfect. I never claimed to be, but I always kept it real. She let the silence stretch for a long moment. So now I gotta figure out what's real, right? And what's not. And with that, she leaned back in her chair, folded her hands in her lap, and waited for the cameras to cut. But the conversation wasn't over. Not by a long shot. As Rasheeda's text hit production, the mood on set shifted again. Producers scrambled to clear a private confessional room, this time with no interruptions. No background crew, just Rasheeda, a camera operator, and the director. Rasheeda arrived quickly, dressed down in comfortable clothes, no heels, just sneakers. Her hair pulled back. She looked ready to say what needed to be said when the cameras started rolling. Her voice was steady, betraying none of the turmoil beneath. She took a deep breath. "I've been quiet too long," she said softly. "And I know you've all been waiting for me to react, but I wanted to do it right." She paused, glancing down at her hands resting in her lap. "This season, it's always been about showing the world who we are. Our successes, our families, our struggles. But nobody ever showed what happens when trust breaks." Fans watching later would note how calm she sounded, even though her eyes darkened with hurt. Karlie laid those papers out in front of me. Rasheeda continued. "I saw flight receipts for trips he never told me about, hotel bookings with names that weren't mine. And that photo of him with some woman I'd never met." She closed her eyes for a moment as if she could feel that betrayal burning anew. "I felt everything freeze," she admitted. "My heart went to my throat, and for a second, I couldn't breathe." There was a muffled sound as she drew in a shaky breath. So I walked off. I left the set because I needed space. Not because I wanted to run away from the truth, because I needed to face it alone. The camera caught the slight tremor in her hands. Behind the scenes, nobody understood why I did it. They thought I was being dramatic. But trust me, this wasn't drama. It was life. She looked back at the lens. I've spent years defending Kirk, telling people we were unbreakable, telling myself he loved me, he respected me, he'd never hurt me like that, but the folder said otherwise. Rasheeda paused again, her voice catching. "I want people to know this isn't just about a man stepping out. It's about living with the secrets. I didn't just lose faith in him, I lost faith in my own judgment." That admission landed like a punch. Fans would later highlight it as the moment she stopped playing the reality star and started being a real person. "So what happens now?" she asked, her tone quiet, rhetorical. "Do we pick up the pieces and pretend nothing happened? Or do we let the truth guide the next step?" The room was silent, not a word from the crew. Rasheeda let the silence stretch, giving every viewer at home a chance to feel that moment with her. "I'm here to say I'm choosing myself now," she continued, voice stronger. "I'm choosing honesty even when it hurts, because that's the only way forward." With those words, she reached forward and gently pushed an envelope toward the camera. Fans would later learn it contained her own compiled evidence, texts, where Kirk had said he loved another woman, voicemails she'd found but never played. This was her counterpoint to Karlie's folder. "I was holding on to this too," she admitted. But it wasn't until Karlie showed me something that I realized I had my own receipts. Everyone on set knew that this moment had shifted everything. Reality TV moments were made in confessional rooms all the time. But rarely did they feel this raw. The camera cut, but Rasheeda didn't get up immediately. She sat there for a moment, eyes closed, as if mentally bracing herself for whatever came next. Outside the confessional, production didn't quite know how to proceed. They'd just captured their strongest cast member admitting her own truths in a way nobody expected. It wasn't just a single storyline anymore. It was a tangled web of betrayals, half-truths, and emotional wreckage. Later that evening, small crew brought Rasheeda back into a group scene, this time with Karlie and Mimi. The plan was to let them talk it out face to face. But by now, everyone knew that talk wasn't like any other. It would be an emotional reckoning. Rasheed entered the room first. She didn't look at Karlie. She just sat down, folded her hands, and stared straight ahead. Karlie walked in next, carrying a small bag. Her posture was calm, controlled. When she saw Rasheeda, she paused, then took a seat across from her. Mimi sat between them awkwardly. Adjusting her microphone, she cleared her throat. "I know this is hard," she said gently, "but maybe it's time to hear each other out." Rasheeda nodded slightly, finally turning to look at Karlie. "You went through my personal life," she said, voice low. In front of everybody, Karlie met her gaze. "I did. And I'm sorry you had to find out like that." For once, Karlie sounded remorseful. It wasn't the defensive energy fans had seen when rumors first spread. This was sincerity. "I thought maybe you already knew," Karlie continued. "But I realized you didn't, and I couldn't keep it from you." Rasheeda let out a bitter laugh. "You couldn't keep it from me, but he could. Kirk sat with those lies right next to me." Karlie shook her head. "That's not on me." The room felt like it could crack in half. Mimi watched both women, her expression pained. "We all share the blame," Mimi said softly. "We let things simmer too long. We pointed fingers, made excuses." Rasheeda leaned forward. Tears welled again, but she blinked them back. "So what now?" she asked. "Do we just drag him back in and hope for the best?" Before Karlie could answer, the door opened. Kirk stepped in unexpectedly. Everyone froze. He looked at Rasheeda, then at Karlie. No words. Just that tense moment. Rasheed stood up, nearly colliding with her chair. "Kirk," she said, voice shaking. "She came back." Kirk swallowed, his voice quiet. "I had to." The producers signaled to roll cameras. Whatever happened next would be captured for millions to see. Karlie watched them both, expression unreadable. Mimi sat between them, looking like she wished she could disappear. The camera zoomed in on Kirk's face as he took a step toward Rasheeda. "I know I hurt you," he began, voice raw. "And I'm sorry, more than you can imagine." Rasheeda's eyes filled. She looked at him, pain and anger warring on her face. "Sorry, don't fix receipts," she shot back. "Sorry, don't erase the lies." Karlie's head snapped up as if she hadn't expected that line. Kirk's shoulders slumped. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Rasheeda's tears fell freely. "I gave you everything," she whispered. "And maybe that was my mistake." The cameras rolled as Kirk tried to reach for her hand. She pulled away. Stepping back, "I don't know if I can do this again," she said, voice breaking. "I don't know if there's anything left to fix." Karlie watched quietly, her own tears shining in her eyes. "Maybe you both need time," Karlie offered gently. "Space to figure out if what you had is still worth saving." Rasheeda turned to Karlie, surprise flickering on her face. For a second, it felt like that friendship, that bond, could find a way to mend. But Rasheeda looked back at Kirk, her expression hardening. "I need to find peace on my own," she said. "And until I do, I can't keep pretending everything is okay." With that, she walked past Kirk and Karlie out of the room again, tears falling silently. The camera stayed on Kirk for a long beat. He sank onto the couch, head in hands. Karlie reached over, a hesitant gesture, and placed a hand on his shoulder, and just like that, the scene ended. The cameras cut. The set went silent. What viewers saw felt like the shattering of a fairy tale, the moment a perfect world breaks. In 2. And as the rumble of that raw, unfiltered confrontation spread online, fans everywhere knew they had witnessed something that would define this season forever. After Rasheeda walked out, the set felt emptier than ever. Kirk sat heavily on the couch, fingers tangled in his hair. Karlie hesitated before she placed a hand on his shoulder. Just a touch, not a hug. He looked up, eyes red, and nodded. The cameras were still rolling, but no one spoke. This silence was its own statement. Outside, crew members exchanged worried looks. This season had always thrived on tension, but now it felt like reality itself was bleeding into the footage. Producers whispered about pushing back the next group scene, giving everyone time to process. Karlie sat down beside Kirk, her voice low. "This wasn't my plan," she said softly. "I thought telling the truth would help. I didn't know it would hurt so many people." Kirk's throat moved as he swallowed hard. "I never meant for it to get out like this," he replied, voice rough. "But I can't lie anymore, not even to myself." Karlie nodded, closing her eyes. "Sometimes the truth is a knife," she said, "but it's better than living in a coffin of lies." As they spoke, fans online debated what would happen next. Live feeds captured snippets: Kirk looking broken, Karlie looking weary but determined. One clip showed Kirk wiping his face with the back of his hand. Another showed Karlie staring into space, pain etched across her features. Back inside, Mimi appeared to guide the scene back on track. She stepped forward, offering a gentle smile. "If we're gonna finish this, let's do it honestly," she said. "No more secrets today." Kirk took a slow breath. "You all deserve to hear from me," he said, "so here it is." He stood, walking over to the center of the room. Everyone watched as he reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone. "I found something else," he said, holding it up. "Messages I never deleted. I thought I had. They're old, from before we even got married." He swiped the screen toward Rasheeda before anyone else. The camera caught her hand quivering. When she reached for it, she held the phone close, squinting to read tiny words. A gasp escaped her lips. "He was talking to someone else even back then," she whispered. "How did I never see this?" Kirk's shoulders slumped, tears falling freely now. "I was scared," he admitted. "Scared of losing you, scared of losing my image. I blocked it out, but it never really went away." Rasheeda looked up, eyes red and glossy. "So you let it fester," she said. "You let it grow like a cancer." Room held its breath. Karlie looked away, glancing at Bambi, who gave her a small nod. Even amidst all this tension, there was unspoken solidarity among them. "I'm sorry," Kirk said quietly. "I can't change the past, but I can show you I've changed. I'm trying." Rasheeda drew in a shaky breath. She turned away, wiping her tears. "Trying isn't enough," she said. "Not when you've built your life on lies." Again, she walked away, leaving Kirk and Karlie alone in that center space. Kirk sank to his knees, leaning against the couch. Karlie stood behind him, her hand on his back. Mimi signaled to cut. The camera stopped, but no one moved. The atmosphere was too charged, too raw. Later that night, a private meeting took place with senior producers. They reviewed the days, footage, Kirk's confession, Rasheeda's breakdown, Karlie's steadfast gaze. They debated whether to air it as is or trim it down. Some argued it was the most compelling storyline ever filmed. Others worried it was too personal, too painful. Meanwhile, Rasheeda returned to her home, the folder still clutched in her hand. She walked into her living room, setting everything on the coffee table. The receipts, the messages, the hotel bookings. She sat down, flipping through each piece of evidence again, as if trying to make sense of it all. Later, she texted her closest friends outside the show, asking for advice. Some told her to leave Kirk for good. Others urged caution, reminding her of years they'd built together. But Rasheeda knew the decision was hers alone. The next day, filming resumed with a smaller scene. Bambi, Spice, and Mimi sat in a circle, talking through what they'd witnessed. No Kirk, no Rasheeda, just their reactions. Spice's voice trembled. "I've seen a lot, but I've never seen Rasheeda like that. She's always been the rock. But she looked so small, lost." Bambi nodded, wiping her own tears. "Karlie's right, sometimes truth cuts deeper than any lie." But we did this to her. We should have said something sooner. Mimi sighed. It's easy to judge from the sidelines. But being in her shoes, I don't know if any of us could handle it. As they spoke, producers took notes. They knew this unscripted, raw honesty was what viewers craved. They wove those reactions into the upcoming episode, layering it between Rasheeda's confessional and Kirk's pleas for forgiveness. That afternoon, Kirk returned to set for another one-on-one, this time with Mimi. As they sat down, the air was heavy, but Kirk seemed steadier. I'm here to answer questions, he said. Any questions? Mimi asked gently, how do you want people to remember you? As the guy who lied or as someone who owned up to it? Kirk hesitated, looking into the camera. I'd like to be remembered as someone who found the courage to face his mistakes, even if I can't fix everything. That admission hit home for many viewers who rewatched it online. Social media comments praised Kirk for stepping up, even as others accused him of being too little, too late. By the time Rasheeda returned for the final group scene of the week, the set felt charged with anticipation. Everyone wondered what she'd say, how she'd look, if she'd even show up. When she entered, she walked straight to Kirk. No cameras circled her. No applause. Just a moment of two people who had been through hell standing face to face. She stared at him, then at the folder in his hand. He held it now. It's the same one Karlie had shown her days earlier. I've seen everything, she said quietly. And I forgive you, partly. I forgive the man I know, not the lies he told. Kirk's eyes softened. Thank you, he whispered. She nodded once. Truth and trust have to rebuild together. If you want that, you've got to live it every day. With those words, they sat down together at the table where Karlie and Mimi waited. Three of them in a circle, cameras rolling. The air was still heavy, but there was a sliver of hope outside. Fans watched trailers for the upcoming episode with fresh buzz. Rasheeda's forgiveness and can Kirk prove himself? Trending everywhere. And though the season was far from over, that moment felt like a turning point, a real, heartfelt step toward healing, forgiveness, and maybe, just maybe, a new beginning. Now that you've seen Rasheeda's raw breakdown and Kirk's tearful admissions, what do you think comes next for this power couple? Will Rasheeda's partial forgiveness lead to real change, or is this just the calm before another storm? And what about Karlie? Did her bold move finally spark the honest conversations everyone needed, or did it only deepen the wounds? We want to hear your take. Do you believe Rasheeda and Kirk can rebuild trust, or is their relationship beyond repair? Were you on Team Karlie when she first laid those receipts on the table, or do you think she crossed a line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and tell us where you stand. Are you rooting for Rasheeda's fresh start, backing Kirk's redemption arc, or simply here for the unfiltered drama? If this episode had you glued to the screen, give us a thumbs up and show your support. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a single twist, because Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 13 is only getting more intense from here. Hit that bell icon to stay updated on every confession, every reveal, and every unexpected turn. We're just getting started. And trust us, you won't want to